Leo souls, let me ask you something directly. What if the next 24 hours change your life in a way you didn't expect, and it all starts with one woman? Not a romantic partner. Not someone you chase. But a woman you weren't even looking for, someone who shows up and shifts everything. Her timing? Not random. It's been orchestrated for a while now. Her presence? Not loud, but unmistakable. You're watching this right now for a reason, and I'm not saying that to be dramatic. I'm saying it because I know what it's like to feel the pull of something bigger. And then wonder if you're just imagining it. But you're not. This time, something real is aligning. Welcome to Eternal Mindfulness, a space where astrology, energy, intuition, and emotional clarity come together to meet you where you are, not where the world thinks you should be. We're stepping into something rare, Leo. October 27th is more than a date, it's a window. A portal. A soft but serious moment the universe has carved out for you. Right now, the moon is aligning with Jupiter in a fire trine. That means your internal compass is being magnified. Your instincts are louder. And whatever has been stuck, whether it's money, love, direction, or confidence, is being loosened. Here's the wild part. Tarot laid out 3 cards this week that rarely show up together unless something sacred is moving. The Empress. Ace of Swords. Judgment. That's a message. Not about fate happening to you, but about you remembering how to respond when fate knocks. Let's be real, life doesn't hand you miracles with a red ribbon. It often gives you people. People who say one thing that changes how you see everything. People who walk in like quiet answers to prayers you forgot you asked. And this time, Leo, it's a woman. She may be a friend, a coworker, a stranger, a sister, or someone who just says something that hits you right there. She's not here to save you, but to remind you of what you've buried. And that reminder will shift your direction. Financially. Emotionally. Spiritually. So here's what I invite you to do: slow down. Pay attention. The moment you'd normally scroll past, avoid, or ignore, this time, pause. Notice who's speaking. Notice what you're resisting. Because sometimes, resistance is the very proof that something sacred is knocking. Before we move forward, I want to say this from the heart: thank you for being here. Every like, every comment, every subscribe, it's not just algorithm stuff. It's your way of saying, yes, I'm listening. Yes, I'm open. That energy builds this space. It strengthens the field that allows these messages to reach you exactly when you need them most. So if something inside you is already stirring, if you feel like you didn't land on this video by accident, let me know in the comments. Right, I'm ready for what's next. Right, I feel her coming. Let your words claim your moment. Stay with me until the end, because what's coming next will explain why this message had to find you today. And why everything after October 27th might never be the same again. Let's begin. There are moments in life that feel small on the surface: passing conversations, a quiet glance from someone unexpected, a sentence you didn't know you needed to hear. But for some reason, those moments echo. They stay. They don't just land in your ears, they land in your chest. And when they do, it's usually because something deeper is being stirred awake inside you. That's what this part of your journey is about, Leo. A woman is approaching not in some grand, cinematic way but in the soft, almost unnoticeable manner that makes it easy to overlook if you're not tuned in. She's not coming to take over your life, to fix you, or to save you. She's coming to reflect something back to you. Something ancient. Something sacred. Something you've maybe forgotten. The Empress, in tarot, often gets misunderstood as simply a symbol of fertility or motherhood. But in truth, she's more than that. She represents the archetype of the divine feminine in her most grounded, life-giving form. She is intuition wrapped in wisdom. She is warmth without control. She is the part of you that knows how to receive without guilt and how to nurture without losing yourself. When she shows up in your reading and your life, it's rarely by accident. In astrology, we talk a lot about transits, alignments, and planetary aspects. But sometimes, what matters more than the position of the stars is how prepared your heart is to notice what's arriving. This woman may come in many forms. Maybe she's an old friend who suddenly reaches out. Maybe she's a stranger who says something in line at a coffee shop that makes you pause. Maybe she's a spiritual teacher or simply a coworker who carries a quiet strength that unnerves you in the best way. She may not even say much, but you'll feel her. It might not make sense at first. You may feel irritated, inspired, confused, or even challenged by her presence. But underneath it all, you'll know, she's here to unlock something you've buried. A forgotten dream. A truth you've tried to mute. A part of your soul that got tired of not being seen. And in that unlocking, you begin to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. There's a line I once read that says, "God doesn't shout, He whispers." And often, He whispers through people. Through small moments that seem irrelevant until they change everything. Whether or not you believe in God in the traditional sense, there is still value in recognizing that life often sends answers disguised as people. And healing rarely arrives with fireworks. Sometimes it comes wearing ordinary clothes, carrying extraordinary timing. I've seen it happen. Clients who tell me that a brief comment from someone years ago turned out to be the seed that later bloomed into a full transformation. And that's why this part of your story matters, Leo. Because this isn't just about her, it's about how you respond when your soul is mirrored back to you. Do you lean in, or do you pull away? Do you dismiss it, or do you get curious? There's nothing random about the woman you're about to meet. She's a soul note that harmonizes with your own just long enough to wake you up. You may not keep her in your life forever, but her presence will linger. It will nudge you. And if you let it, it will open something inside you that you didn't even know was closed. So ask yourself, have you ever had someone walk into your life and say one thing that changed everything? If the answer is yes, you already know this kind of encounter is real. And if the answer is no, maybe that's exactly why you're here today. Sometimes we don't even realize we're stuck until something or someone shifts the flow. You might look around your life and think, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to. Why isn't it moving? But energy doesn't respond to effort alone. It responds to alignment. And for Leo, that alignment has been off not because you've done anything wrong, but because the timing, the people, or even the emotional posture you've been carrying weren't lined up with what you truly want to receive. In tarot, the Ace of Swords doesn't show up to pat you on the back. It shows up to cut through the fog. It's clarity that slices through delay. And when it appears in a reading like this combined with astrological transits where the Moon and Jupiter are activating your second house of income and value, it's a clear signal. A breakthrough is possible, but it won't happen passively. Something needs to be activated. And often, that activation starts with a person. In this case, a woman who becomes the switch. She might not look like an answer at first. Maybe she asks you a hard question, challenges your comfort zone, or simply inspires you to try something new. Her role isn't to hand you wealth, but to wake up the part of you that remembers how to create it. Think of her as a mirror reflecting what you've avoided, acknowledging your desire to live with more financial peace, more creative freedom, more energetic flow. When the right energy arrives at the right time, that invisible wall you've been pushing against, it starts to dissolve. But let's bring this out of the clouds and into something practical. What can you do with this energy? First, rewrite your money story. Not from the place of what's missing, but from the place of what's ready to be received. Instead of saying, "I want to stop struggling," shift to, "I'm ready to align with ease and expansion." Small changes in language create big shifts in vibration. That's not just law of attraction theory, it's also neuroscience. Your brain listens to the story you repeat. Make it a better one. Second, connect with colors that support receptivity and grounded growth. Gold bronze tones activate confidence and attract high-value energy. Emerald greens stimulate healing and growth, particularly in the heart and financial areas. Even wearing or visualizing these colors during meditation can signal your subconscious that you're open to new abundance, both material and emotional. And let's talk numbers for a moment. Number 3, which ties to the Empress, holds creative abundance, nurturing, and manifestation energy. It's the number of blossoming and fertile outcomes. Number 7, connected to the Judgment card, represents spiritual awakening and perfect timing. Together, they speak of not just gaining resources, but gaining them through a deeper level of awareness and purpose. So here's the question I want you to sit with, Leo. If someone walked into your life tomorrow and opened a door to something financially life-changing, would you be ready to walk through it, or would you doubt yourself out of the opportunity? That answer matters. Because whether or not that moment arrives tomorrow or in 2 weeks, the universe is already whispering the invitation. You just need to be in the posture to recognize it. We've been taught that abundance comes from grinding harder, doing more. But real flow doesn't come from stress, it comes from congruence. When your energy, your beliefs, and your actions start singing the same song, money responds. Opportunity responds. Life opens. So maybe the wall wasn't a wall at all, maybe it was just the silence before the door creaked open. And if this resonates with you, take a second to reflect out loud. Drop a comment and tell me, "I'm ready to receive differently," or "I'm open to the right opportunity at the right time." There's power in putting energy into words. Let's keep the momentum going. You're not stuck, Leo. You're aligning. Love doesn't always come in the way we expect it to. It doesn't always arrive wrapped in romantic fireworks or with a clear label saying, "This is it." Sometimes, love comes quietly through a person who isn't meant to stay, but is meant to wake you up. And when I say, wake you up, I don't mean in the dramatic, chaotic kind of way. I mean in that subtle, soul-level shift where you suddenly realize you've been craving something deeper all along. By now, You've probably begun to feel that this woman, this destined presence approaching your path, is not necessarily a soulmate in the romantic sense. But she is still someone who holds a mirror up to your heart. The kind of mirror that doesn't distort, doesn't flatter, doesn't lie. Instead, she shows you what you've ignored, what you've buried, or what you've accepted as enough, even when your soul quietly whispered, "This isn't it." In the tarot, the presence of the Lovers and Queen of Cups together is emotionally potent. The Lovers isn't just about romance, it's about conscious choice. It's about alignment. It challenges you to ask yourself, am I choosing love from wholeness or from fear? And the Queen of Cups? She brings emotional intelligence, sensitivity, compassion, and sometimes emotional discomfort. Because she doesn't let you fake it. She brings the truth to the surface, even if it's tender. When these two archetypes meet, they create a space where real intimacy can bloom, but only if you're willing to let down the walls you've built. That's especially true if you've been single for a while, Leo. This energy is gently urging you to release the story that says love has to be dramatic, or hard, or something you chase. Love, when it's right, doesn't demand you to shrink. It meets you where you are and asks you to rise, not bend. And for those who are already in a relationship, this chapter of your life is asking for something more honest. It's not about fixing what's broken, it's about seeing whether the foundation you're standing on still matches who you're becoming. The woman showing up might not be a romantic partner, but she could be the spark that helps you communicate differently, listen more deeply, and show up more fully. That alone can change everything. If you've ever felt like you had to perform to be loved or had to hide parts of yourself to maintain peace, then this is your chance to rewrite the script. This energy supports vulnerability, not weakness. It supports clarity, not confusion. And above all, it supports a version of love where you don't have to chase validation. You simply show up as you are, and you're met there. Let's not pretend this is easy work. Looking at how you love, how you've been loved, and how you want to be loved going forward, it's deeply personal. It can stir things up. But it also liberates. Because when you finally see that you've outgrown your old patterns, you start to make space for something that feels safer, softer, and more solid than anything you've experienced before. So ask yourself honestly, are you seeking a connection that burns bright but fades fast? Or are you ready for the kind of love that holds you, stretches you, and evolves with you? There's no wrong answer here, but there is an invitation to be real with yourself. And if this reflection stirs something inside you, name it. Say it out loud in the comments. Write, "I'm ready to be loved for who I am," or "I'm open to a new kind of connection." This is how you begin to shift your energy. Not through waiting, but through choosing. And what you choose now, Leo, could be the love story your soul has been waiting to write. There's a moment in every person's life, quiet, often unnoticed at first, when something inside begins to stir again. It's not loud. It doesn't shout. But it's persistent. A forgotten dream tugs at you while you're washing dishes. An old idea resurfaces during a walk. A memory of who you once were flashes through your mind like a flicker of light in a dark hallway. That's not nostalgia. That's a calling. And Leo, if you're feeling it now, you're not imagining things. Something is waking up inside you. This phase of your journey is less about achieving and more about remembering. When the Judgment card appears, it's not a punishment, it's a resurrection. It doesn't say, fix yourself. It says, come back to yourself. That's a big difference. The card calls out like a bell, not to warn, but to awaken. You've done so much for others, carried so much weight, played so many roles. And yet somewhere beneath all of that, there's a version of you untamed, unfiltered, unafraid that's still alive, still waiting to be lived. We talk a lot about goals, about vision boards and manifesting and chasing success. But sometimes the deepest breakthroughs happen not when we chase something new, but when we return to what we've abandoned. That dream you had when you were 9, 17, or 25, it didn't leave you. It's been quietly waiting in the corner of your soul, like a coat you once wore and forgot you loved. And now, with cosmic energy nudging you gently forward, you have the rare chance to pick it back up. There are signs, and they're subtle but powerful. You may feel restless without knowing why. You may catch yourself daydreaming about something you haven't thought of in years. Or suddenly you'll feel the urge to write, to build, to speak, to paint, to movito, create something, anything. That's the soul pushing through. And if you're feeling that now, it's time to listen. Therapeutically, this is the perfect window to reconnect with that inner compass. One simple way to begin is to rewrite your soul vow. Not the ones you made out of fear or obligation, but the ones that rise from truth. Try this. Write the words, I give myself permission to live the life I once dreamed of. Read it out loud. Notice how it feels in your body. Not everything has to be grand to be sacred. Sometimes healing starts with a single sentence that we finally believe. And if you want to deepen that connection, start a 7-day gratitude journal focused only on what reminds you of your true self. Write down one thing each day, not that you're grateful for out of habit, but that reconnects you with your essence. It could be a color, a scent, a song, a memory. These are the anchors. The map is already inside you. Gratitude is what clears the fog from the compass. On a practical note, this is also a good time to take care of your vessel. Your body stores emotional memory. The neck and shoulders often hold the weight of unspoken truths, suppressed creativity, and, I'll get to it later, dreams. Light stretching, warm baths, even a hand on your own shoulder with a whispered, I see you, can begin to shift what's been stored for years. And don't underestimate small helpers, foods that support clarity and creativity. Walnuts, blueberries, dark cocoa aren't magic fixes, but they are gentle allies. Everything helps when you begin to live with intention again. So let me ask you, Leo, do you remember what once made your eyes light up before the world told you to be realistic? That spark still lives in you. Maybe now's the time to tend to it. Maybe this is the part of your story where you stop surviving and start redreaming. If something inside you whispered, yes, as you read this, say it out loud. Share in the comments, I remember who I am. Or, I'm ready to live my dream again. That one sentence could be the first step toward everything. Some days pass like any other, quiet, unremarkable, forgettable. But once in a while, there comes a day that vibrates differently. You can't always explain it, but something in your chest feels just a little more awake. That's what October 27th holds for you, Leo. Not just another date on the calendar, but a subtle, sacred intersection. A cosmic crossroad where what you send out has a louder echo, and what you feel has a stronger charge. It's what I often call a day of divine reply, where the universe mirrors back whatever frequency you choose to radiate. This isn't about superstition. It's about attention. When astrology speaks of certain alignments magnifying intuition and receptivity, it's less about magic and more about permission. On days like the 27th, the veil between the internal and the external gets thinner. You notice patterns that would usually go unnoticed. A woman's name keeps popping up. You see repeating numbers 3, 7, 13, 22 on receipts, clocks, license plates. You catch yourself feeling something very old in a very new way, as if a memory you've never lived is whispering, "Pay attention." Those aren't coincidences. They're invitations. Opportunities to respond with intention rather than routine. Numerologically, October 27th carries the vibration of the number 9, closure, culmination, quiet preparation for rebirth. It's the kind of number that gently tugs at your soul and asks, what are you still holding on to that has already ended? If you've been carrying a version of yourself that no longer feels like home, this day may be your chance to finally let it go, without drama, without fear, just release. And let's talk color, because energy speaks in visuals too. If you feel called toward purple, don't ignore it. It's the color of internal transformation, not always visible to others, but deeply active. Blue, especially soft blues, speaks to spiritual communication, clarity, and connection. On the 27th, surrounding yourself with these shades isn't about fashion, it's about aligning with what your body already knows. Something is shifting. So how do you work with a day like this? How do you make it meaningful rather than just let it pass? You start with presence. I encourage you to spend 7 quiet minutes in front of a mirror that day. Not to analyze yourself or criticize. Just to look. To breathe. To say softly but surely, I'm ready for what's next. I trust what's unfolding. This small practice isn't about performance. It's about positioning. You're putting your soul in a place where it can listen and be heard. And if journaling speaks to you, keep a record of everything that feels even slightly off or curious that day. A message you didn't expect. A stranger who reminds you of someone you once knew. An inner nudge you can't quite explain. These things are seeds. They may not bloom immediately, but they're being planted for a reason. Above all, don't rush. Don't overthink. Just be aware. If you feel something that day, something stir, something ache, something whisper, pause before you push it aside. Ask yourself, is this the moment I've been waiting for in disguise? Sometimes we want signs in neon, but the universe prefers candlelight. So Leo, as we near this portal of change, know this isn't about pressure, it's about possibility. You don't have to chase the moment. You just have to be awake enough to receive it. And if any part of this message resonates with your heart, speak it out loud. Share it. Let me know in the comments, I'm open to the sacred shift, or I welcome the answers I didn't know I needed. These aren't just words. They're signals. And on a day like October 27th, the signals you send out matter more than ever. If you've made it here, Leo, take a breath and honor that. You've walked with me through a journey that, while shared in words and stories, is deeply personal to your soul. We've talked about the woman who's coming not to rescue you, but to reflect you back to yourself. We've looked at the parts of your life that have felt stuck, and named how alignment, not effort alone, is the real key to flow. We've touched the tender layers of love, how it evolves, how it humbles, how it invites us to stop hiding. And we've reopened the dusty drawers of your dreams, the ones you thought you no longer had time for, the ones that never really stopped calling your name. Now we arrive here, full circle. And maybe the most important thing I can tell you is this: you were never meant to stay the same. This moment, this energy, this turning point, it's not about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you are when you're no longer in survival mode. That woman? She's real. She's close. But she doesn't carry the answer you do. She's just here to nudge you, to say softly, you can begin again. The power is in how you respond. Because at the end of the day, you are the one who opens the door. You are the one who chooses to walk through. The stars may align, the messages may arrive, but your choice is what turns potential into transformation. So ask yourself gently, without judgment, what are you still waiting for permission to do? What version of yourself have you quietly put on hold, hoping the timing would be better, or that someone else would show you the way? What if that someone is you? You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to be willing to start. Whether it's writing that first sentence, applying for something your heart's been craving, or simply allowing yourself to feel again, just start. Small is sacred, Leo. Quiet is powerful. If anything in this message has stirred something inside you, take a moment to mark this shift. Comment below and anchor your intention. You might say, I am ready for my destined meeting, or I give myself full permission to begin my new life now. Say it for yourself. Say it for your future. Say it so the universe hears you clearly. And if you felt seen in this video, if you felt something real unlock in your chest, don't keep it to yourself. Like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs a reminder that they are not broken, they are becoming. Your presence, your energy, your engagement helps keep this space alive. Here on Eternal Mindfulness, we're not just talking about astrology, we're talking about coming home to yourself. About living with more awareness, more softness, and more sacred courage. You are not alone. You never were. You're not just Lavingieri being guided. And this is only the beginning.